We're going to go ahead and extend our fantasy football scout app here. Remember last time we made a very simple app. We used the create React app to spin it up, and we demoed a small component that's using state just to kind of demo the concept of why you would use state and what it is. Today, I wanted to go ahead and add some routing to the application, and then we're also going to add a UI framework so we don't have to roll everything ourselves. Now, when you go to GitHub or wherever and you punch in a React router, you're going to get a couple different options. And that's because, again, remember, React does not give you everything out of the box like a router. You have to go find that. And there are a couple different versions implemented by the greater open source community. Because remember, React is not an entire framework like Angular. Even though we might compare them in the same breath, they're a bit different in the sense React is just a really nice view library for you, and you can say React is more of a library versus Angular, which is more of a framework. So here you can see why with React we have to kind of bring in other pieces. It can be a little overwhelming at times just with all the options you can pick from, but an easy way if you don't know is just to kind of look at the community on GitHub. What's the activity like? When was the last commit made? How many stars are there? Is there an active community on Stack Overflow if you kind of Google a quick issue? Luckily for us, React Router is one of the best ones to use out there. They actually have different kind of code sets for web and native. Both give you great APIs to navigate or create navigation throughout your application. But we're going to focus on the web bindings for now. So make sure you're using the React Router DOM package. Now go to your app.js file, the main file of the application. We're going to blow away the things that we're not using here, like the logo. I'm going to go ahead and import the router, and it's called the browser router, but I can rename this as router. Makes it a little simpler and to work with. We don't really need to specify browser router. We know we're in a web app here. We need to import the route and then the link component from React Router DOM to use this to start configuring our routes. Now, before we start making the actual routes, I want to make page components. So I'm going to take at least this chunk right here, and I'll just toss it up on the top of the page. As we get bigger, we'll put things into their own file, but for now, let's just kind of build it out. And by now, you should be no stranger to function components. And so I'm just making a couple function components up here within the same page, and we'll use those on the router. So now we have our pages to use, and to start, we need to wrap our whole application, the root node, in this router component. So most every application that's using React Router looks something like this, where we're having this entry point of the router component, and then it's making a special object for you that's going to contain history information as far as what routes you visited, which route you are on. It might be useful if you're going to persist that to something like a Redux store. Next, we're going to go ahead and define our link elements to visit the various pages, kind of like a little navigation area. And right off the bat, you might notice I'm using this link component that we defined on the top versus a element with an href to it. You could use an A element. It would be kind of a full page navigation, or like in web browsing, how it naturally happens. Using the link here, we're going to facilitate single page application navigation style. So we'll get more into that versus like what each does, but you'll notice if you did a element, it's going to reload the whole page versus the single page style where we're managing to navigate, but the whole page isn't reloading. Now, if you've noticed my screen, our routes were changing, so the links were working, but nothing was really changing on the view because we really didn't tell the application any component to render on a given route. So here, we'll use the route component. We'll say, hey, when it's this path, the route path, we'll feed in a given component, and we'll use the home component. Right away, we see the welcome to home page, which is exactly what we defined earlier with that home component. And we'll continue out with the free agents one. Again, these are where the components I made earlier, the different page components. So I'm just using them as props, and I'm just defining the different routes. And so now when I navigate to the different link elements here, we get the different components. It's pretty cool. But you'll notice, again, we have this welcome to the home page across all of our pages. It's probably not what we want. We just wanted that on the very kind of root page and nothing else. And that's because this root path is included on all the other paths. But we can fix that by just feeding in this exact Boolean. It's this little param. And fun fact here, you don't actually have to specify the whole equals true. You can just say exact. It's the same equivalent as specifying the long way there. So now if we go back to our application, our wonderful application, it should behave as we might have originally expected, where that welcome to the home page is only on the very first root path and exactly the root path. But the application is looking a little rough around the edges still, so we'll add a couple more class names specifically to this toolbar here. We'll make a app toolbar class name. Let's add some styles to it to kind of space them apart with the magic of Flexbox. Now, I don't want to go too deep into CSS, but we'll go ahead and describe what we're doing here. We're just giving this toolbar a width of 800. We're going to use Flexbox, and it defaults to a row. And then I'll say space around the elements with this justify content property. and I'll center it with this little zero auto margin trick. And when we refresh, we're not getting it, so something's not right. We have app toolbar here. What do we have in our application? We have app toolbar. So spelling mistake, make sure you check that spelling. So after a silly mistake right there, we see that our app toolbar is spaced around and looking a lot nicer. But, you know, it's going to be really tedious for us to roll every little element of the page. So luckily for us, the open source community has made tons and tons of different projects we can use to our disposal. UI, libraries or frameworks, whatever you want to call them, but essentially building blocks for application where we don't have to be so caught up in the minutia of defining what a menu looks like or a toolbar looks like. React is a nice list here. You can go through all of them yourself. We're going to go ahead and use the Material UI project, and it basically React components implemented in Google's Material Design. Now, if you've never heard Material Design, you've definitely probably seen it in a lot of Google applications. Google actually has tons and tons of resources on Material Design if you want to learn more about it and how to use certain components with each other. It definitely helps knowing some background when you go ahead and you're using and you're implementing these components with these UI frameworks versus just kind of hodgepodging and throwing things down all over the place. So I strongly encourage you to go check those out, and I'll leave links in the description below. And so like we've done before, let's go ahead and add this Material UI project to ours, and we'll say yarn add at Material UI /core, because they like to break up some of the different components in case you don't actually necessarily need the whole shebang. So already it's added into our application. We just have to import it in the proper place. And for us, we're going to do that in the app.js file. We're going to go ahead and change our toolbar, the toolbar that we made already, and we're going to make a actual toolbar that we get from Material UI. So just following the Material UI documentation, they specify an app bar, toolbar component, and then this typography component, most likely to control the different fonts and how you're styling it. We're just going to go ahead and follow their kind of open documentation. You can easily follow along. And it starts off with the app bar component, and it has a few of these props in it that allow us to control the class names or the class names that get attached to the component that can change the look of it, the color of it. Material UI has a lot of cool features where you can change the different themes and colors of all the components. We'll say the toolbar, and then we're going to use this typography component, which through the other props of variant and color, we can style our different fonts, and it's an easier way to control it versus using CSS all over the place to kind of use font sizes and properties. And sure enough, we have this nicer, toolbar component at the top. We barely had to do anything. We just imported that library, imported those components, and now we have a nice toolbar with this nice drop shadow on it. And we'll continue to use more UI components to kind of dress up our whole application. But before we go any further, I want to take a little break about talking about project organization. Right now, we have everything just in the components folder. We have one main app.js folder. But I would like to start taking components and putting them into their own folders, because as we grow this application, we'll want to include things like test and anything related to that given component, maybe like a style sheet or the file itself. Even if we're using things like Redux and you're making container files, you'll make a lot of things geared to one component, and so it's nice to kind of package that up into one folder, and you'll see how we can easily have a nicer way to organize our project. So real quickly, I put my player.js file and the player CSS file in a folder within components. I named it player, same as the file, and I'm expecting my project to break because I've effectively changed where that file lives. And when I reload the application, it's still working, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I think with code specifically, I have this nice little feature where it will update the path when it sees the file has changed. So that's nice, but sometimes I can run into a problem. So that's exactly what happened here. It changed the file path because it knew I put that file in a new folder. Sometimes it's not always going to happen. It doesn't happen that correctly, or doesn't guess right, so it still breaks. And an easy way we can maintain all those paths is just by adding the index file to our folder that is housing our component. We can say import player from the relative path of player, and then we can export that export default as the main export from this file, because just like with all of our imports, Webpack is looking for the index file first. So by adding this index file, we can keep that component/player path, and everything will work as expected as we're showing now. Now, in the theme of organizing our project and keeping things nice and clean, I'm going to go ahead and make another directory here called pages. I want to break up my kind of page level components apart from the smaller components I'm going to be using a lot throughout the app. And so I'm going to make a new directory, and I'm just mimicking those same files that we created before, or those page components we made in the app.js folder. So I'm going to rip those out into their own folders under pages here. And again, I'm just creating their own components within their own folders, just like you saw me do earlier with the player component. Now, if there's a different structure you like or are more accustomed to, or something else you've seen, by all means do that. There's no right or wrong here. This is just a nice little structure that works good for us in the meantime while our application is still small, but it allows us to easily find areas that we're working in. Now I'm speeding this up so you don't have to watch paint dry on the wall, but essentially I'm just going in, making new files again, going into our app.js file, and I'm copying the components we've already made. I'm just dumping them out, and then make sure you export these components as well. Now, once those are all set up, I can then go back into my app.js folder and import those new components. But while working in one of these page components, I realized I have to specify a pretty deep relative path just to get back to my player component. This .. /.. That's usually not a great way to go, because if you change the file where that lives, like we were just doing earlier, you could break a lot of things. So you'd be way better off using absolute paths. One way to kind of easily set up absolute paths and make sure those imports work is by creating this hidden file, this .environment file. And you can specify to Webpack more to create React app that's looking for this file. You can specify certain settings. So here we're going to say that the node path equals to source. So we're telling it where the code lives for our application. That way, when we make an import from components, it knows where that file is. Now, again, this is not for every project. This is specifically for those who've been spun up using the Create React app. So if you didn't do it that way, it probably won't work, and you might have to set it up yourself or go into Webpack settings to make sure it's picking up these settings from a certain environment file. And quickly after restarting our server and using the components player absolute path, it works. We get the import that we want. The application keeps running. And now if we have to move files around, it's not going to be such a chore. So taking a step back, one of the nice things about just making any kind of modern web application using components, no matter what framework or library you're using, is, again, this whole notion of components and breaking your app down piece by piece into reusable Legos. One of the things I see right off the bat is this app toolbar. It's kind of busy with the syntax that's going on. And if I have to include that into another page, it might be kind of a little bit of a chore where I have to kind of remember these 3 different components to use. So I'd like to put that into its own component. That way in my app, if I just have a page, I can just say import app toolbar and then plop that down wherever I need it. So let's go ahead and make this index file as the kind of main entry point again. We'll import the toolbar and then we'll export it as the default module. Then back on our main page, we can just import that app toolbar component, remove this old code. We don't have any children nested in with it or anything, so we can just give it the one bracket with the closing / and then everything works as expected. Still rocking, still looking good, and now our app is a little bit more easier to kind of use that toolbar or find that code that specifically handles the toolbar stuff. Next, before we wrap it up, I want to add one more UI component here, and I'd like to add the side nav or a side menu to our application, something we can toggle in and out, and we'll put the links in our application that live there. Okay, so we want to make a drawer component or a side menu, and to me that feels like they should live in the app toolbar component, because we're going to have a little button on the toolbar and you're going to click it and the drawer is going to pop out. So this functionality, good thing we actually just separated the app toolbar, because now it's going to get a little bit more complex. And if we had this in our app file or the main file, it would just be kind of really cumbersome and obtuse to really digest. So back in the app toolbar, we're going to import a couple of new UI components, a button and an icon button. These are a bit different kind of buttons you get stylistically from Material UI. So you don't have to do it all yourself versus what you would get from just putting a button element on the page. And then we're going to get actually the menu icon that we're going to use in the button for the toolbar. And you might notice that this does not come from the core package. It comes from an icons package, which you have to add separately. You'll notice my build failed here, and that was the problem. So you have to say yarn add material UI icons, and then you'll get that package and can then use all these nice icons that they provide for you. So we earlier imported the icon button, which we'll use in the toolbar. An icon button is a nice little circular button that we can use for an icon versus a typical button that might be like more squared or something like that. So we'll just use these props of color and ARIA label. ARIA label is a label for accessibility for things like a screen reader. We can go in deeper into that, but usually it's a good idea to have your applications accessible to all. And you can just put in that menu icon, and we should get it rendered here in the little tab left. Okay. So real quick, note that I've turned this app toolbar into a class component because we're going to use state so we can toggle the side nav on and off. Just like we used in our first example of toggling something, we're going to do the same thing in here, but we're actually going to have a real use for it now with the menu. So I've already imported my drawer component here, and right underneath the app toolbar, we can just say drawer open. We'll just leave it open for now, and then we can put just a hello world in it. And make sure you wrap your JSX element into one element itself. And so hello world, there's our drawer component. Next, we're going to wire this up so we can actually toggle the menu, and it's going to feel exactly like we did in the very first example where we were clicking on the players of are they selected or not. You can see we already made the component into a class, so make sure you take your component that was a function component before is now a class component, so we can use a constructor. Don't forget the super call and initialize the state. We'll make a variable of is open. We'll set it to false. And then let's go ahead and make the toggle function that will actually toggle the is open to true or false based on what you selected previously. Then we'll go down to the icon button, and on click, we will define our method that we just wired up, the handle toggle menu. And I forgot to change the actual variable for the open on the drawer. So you can just feed that our state property now. So we can pull it out of here, is open from this dot state, and then put that is open on the drawer. And now we should get it open, and we should put another button on the menu itself so we can then close that side nav. And again, the same function will open it and close it because it's just toggling on and off.